Gayle made his first appearance for Somerset in Taunton in the NatWest T20 Blast, delivering an incredible knock of 151, but it was the in-form Sam North East who led Kent to a 3-run victory to stay top of the South Group. North East with his maiden 100 in this competition. North East first called correctly at the toss and decided to bat on what was a belter of a surface. Not that Joe Denley was able to use much of it, as he was run out by Max Waller to the 8th ball of the match. North East was soon on the move in partnership with Daniel Bell-Drummond, the two finding the boundaries plenty of times in the power play. North East simply picking up from where he left off on Friday when he struck a career best 96 in the win over Surrey. The first 6 arrived in the 4th over, and it was North East who cleared the rope off Sohail Tanvir, the visitors getting off to just the start they wanted in spite of that early loss of Denley. 72 runs came in these 6 overs of power play, the Spitfires' best start yet. Both Bell-Drummond and North East went after Peter Trigo in his first and only over, the most expensive of the match so far, costing 17 runs. There was plenty of entertainment before Gayle was needed. Bell-Drummond with his second maximum, this one off Waller, as these two batsmen took their partnership to 94, made in only 49 deliveries. Bell-Drummond made a 50 off 30, but next ball he found Lewis Gregory in the deep, but the 100 was already on the board, the total at the halfway stage of the innings being 107 for 2, actually 11 fewer than Kent had managed in their last match against Surrey. Then they had to settle for a final total of 193 as their second 10 overs failed to create the fireworks of the first 10. Not this time. Sam Billings, who made a brilliant 50 over ton on this ground last summer, was soon putting back to ball with North East, who made another 50 off 25 balls. The Kent captain was already well ahead of any other run scorer in this competition this year and was soon past 300 runs in 5 innings in this season's tournament. Alphonso Thomas tried 7 bowlers, but with North East in possibly the form of his life, not one of them could disturb the rhythm of his innings. Kent on their way to the best T20 total in their history. The 3rd wicket partnership was another very good one, 80 runs being made off 40 deliveries. North East just missed out on 100 last time out, but this time he had plenty of time to get to the first of his career in this format. With 4 overs to go, he'd already amassed 95 runs, made out of a total of 185 for 2, the Spitfires' previous best being the 217 all-out they hit against Gloucestershire in Bristol 5 years ago. The 17th over was the one when Somerset threatened to fight back. Not only was Billings held by Thomas at deep mid-off off Tanvir, but only 4 runs were scored, but a total of more than 200 was definitely on the cards in spite of that. Especially with Darren Stevens coming in and going after Thomas. 17 runs came off the 18th over, the 200 now up, and the chance of a big finish for the visitors, who were looking for their 4th win from 5 in this year's tournament. It was in the same over that North East got to his 100, a remarkable one filled with gorgeous shots. His 14th 4 to go with his 2 sixes, taking him to 3 figures off only 51 deliveries. His time was warmly appreciated by this excellent crowd. They may have come to see Gayle, but even the home support must have admired this. With 1 over to go, Kent had their highest ever total of 220 for 3, but they then lost 4 wickets in a sensational last over. 5 runs came off the first 2 balls, but then Stevens, who'd smashed 22 off 11, skied Thomas to Waller at long on. North East was now in desperate need to keep the strike for the final deliveries, and that led to the run out of Fabian Cowdrey before he'd even had a chance to face a ball. He wouldn't have minded one bit though, as his inspirational skipper was back on strike. But only for 1 more ball. Thomas bowled him as a 3rd wicket fell in 3 balls. It ended a fabulous knock which brought North East 114 runs off 58 balls with 16 4s and 2 6s. It was an innings filled with class. 4 wickets fell in the space of 4 legal deliveries. A wide was followed up by Matt Coles being bowled by Thomas, who ended with figures of 3 for 46 from his 4 overs. The Spitfires ending on a massive 227 for 7, Kent's biggest ever and the 2nd highest total of this season. It meant that Gayle had plenty to do when he came out to bat with Marcus Trescothick, the latter lasting only 10 balls before he holed out to cover off Coles. Then 2 balls later, Trigo played the same bowler back onto his stumps as Somerset found themselves in early trouble on 23 for 2, 4 overs into their reply. But Gayle was still there. He took his side to victory over Essex on Friday with a 59-ball 92, but that was to turn out to be rather slow in comparison to what he was about to achieve here. He struck his first 6 off Callum Haggett and then really went after Stevens in the last of the power play overs. It read dot, 6-4, 6 dot and 4 as 20 runs took the total to 55 for 2 after 6 overs. Gayle just warming up by scoring 38 of them, and his 6s were, as you would expect, very large ones. A couple of quieter overs passed by, but then Gayle, just after being dropped by Denley, reached his second 50 for his new county of 29 balls with his 4th maximum. This is exactly why Somerset wanted Gayle to play for them, and just what almost everybody at the ground had paid to come and see. 2 of the next 3 deliveries from Cowdrey also cleared the rope as the West Indian legend began to really find his range. The pitch had been prepared for the batsmen to be able to play their shots, and Gayle was certainly doing that. 24 runs came off the 10th over, which meant that halfway through their chase, Somerset had 105 runs on the board for the loss of those 2 early wickets, and Gayle was on to 70 from 32 balls. Hard hats for the people in the crowd were called for as Gayle showed no signs of reining it in a fraction. Whoever was given the ball must have feared the worst, because whatever the bowlers tried, it made little difference as it began to rain 6s off the bat of Gayle, who was quickly into the 90s, dominating a partnership for the 3rd wicket with James Hildreth. The 2 put on 113 in 56 balls, Hildreth's contribution to that being 29. He was out in the 13th over with the score on 135 for 3, Denley with a catch in the deep off Stevens, which now left Somerset to find 92 off the final 42 balls of an extraordinary cricket match. That became 86 off 41 as Gayle went the distance for the 10th time in this incredible innings. Suddenly, North East's amazing efforts were being dwarfed by the Jamaican, a man who once hit 175 by himself in a T20 match. His 100 arrived off his 45th delivery and Taunton went wild. Perhaps not even in their wildest dreams could they have hoped to see an innings like this one. Gayle had hit 10 6s and 6 4s to not only get to 3 figures in the 14th over of the match, but also give his side a real chance of pulling off a head-turning victory. This was, amazingly, his 15th T20 ton. It was becoming something of a one-man show. Jim Allenby had just hit a 6 himself, but was then bowled by Adam Riley next ball. With 4 overs remaining, the target was down to 59, and with Gayle in, that should be a breeze. Somerset struck an amazing 17 6s in their innings, Tom Cooper adding to the list before he gave Haggett a wicket. Coles with the catch at long off, and now Somerset were left to find 43 runs off the final 3 overs. They managed only 2 in the 18th, Mitch Claydon again delivering a decisive spell just when it was needed for his side. The former Durham man is having an exceptional tournament with the ball, and his wicket of Lewis Gregory gave his side some breathing space. But hold on, 39 runs may have been needed off the last 10 deliveries, but Gayle was not finished yet by any means. The last 4 balls of Cole's last over went for 6, 4, 6 and another 6. Gayle seeing the ball as if it was the size of a planet by now. The fielders on the boundary's edge could do nothing more than watch the ball sail over their heads, several shots landing in the nearby churchyard or into the River Tone. This may be one of the smaller grounds that Gayle has played at, but many of his shots would have carried the distance at any ground in the world. Thanks to Gayle's sensational striking, 17 were wanted off the last over, but crucially, Gayle would start it at the non-striker's end. Claydon, who produced the fantastic figures of 2 for 23 from his 4 overs, as the rest of the bowlers were carted all over the park, removed Tanvir at the start of the last over. Coles with the catch in the deep, which crucially didn't allow the batsman to cross. Jamie Overton took a single and did get the strike back to his partner, but by now there was just too much even for a man of Gayle's talents to do. He finished the game off with a 6 which landed in the nearby river to end on 151 from 62 balls, the 3rd best score in domestic T20 cricket. Yet it was all in vain in the context of this magnificent match. Somerset ending on 224 for 7 to lose by 3 runs, but it was a day that few at the ground will ever forget. A fourth win from 5 now puts Kent 4 points clear at the top of the South Group, although they have played a couple more games than most of the chasing pack. They next take on Hampshire in Canterbury on Friday week. Hampshire are also Somerset's next opponents. Gayle will be attracting yet more to Taunton next Friday. In spite of the Jamaican, Somerset have now lost 2 of their first 3 games.